Hello everyone, welcome in. echohack here, bringing you another Diablo Immortal video. Today we're talking about currencies and crafting materials. Now, as you know, the Diablo Immortal beta was just announced, so we're gonna have a whole series of videos for you guys so you're ready for the beta. Coming to you from the experts over at Maxroll, with hundreds and hundreds of hours already in the Diablo Immortal Alpha. So we've compiled everything we know about the game, and we've put that out there on Maxroll. Check the description for more information for the link to this guide and to other guides. And yeah, I mean, if you're here to watch the video, then let's get right into it. So like I said, we're here to talk about currencies and crafting materials. Now, I think this is super important, currencies and crafting materials for Diablo Immortal, because understanding this will help you understand the progression of your character, where to spend your resources the best, the most efficient, and just like what to collect and sort of what to do. And the reason for that, the main reason for that, is because each game system in Diablo Immortal is encapsulated with its own currency or its own crafting material. And this is actually pretty cool. I really like, this is more of a modern game design rather than something like, I mean, I love Diablo 2, but the problem with Diablo 2 is that you're just always doing the same thing, right? Like you're always killing Baal over and over and over and over and over. You're doing chaos runs over and over and over and over and over. And the reward loop is just that one thing, maybe another thing, right? But you never like have to have some sort of variety in your gameplay in order to progress your character in sort of a different way. Diablo 3 also has this problem, right? Like the best thing to do is greater rifts for XP, right? So you're always doing greater rifts for XP in Diablo 3, and if you can help it, right? Sometimes you have to just like grind keys on T16 as fast as possible, and that's always basically a waste of time, right? So what's really cool about Immortal is that you can progress your character in all these different paths, and you'll see that as we get deeper into this presentation. Yeah. Like I said, we've got many rewards, many ways to progress, and there's a variety of gameplay, which is one of the coolest things about Immortal that no other Diablo game quite does correctly. So let me give you a couple examples of this, right? So first, bounties in Scoria, right? So bounties are these daily quests that you can do, and you can see the bounty board here that you can pick up, and they're randomized, right? You can re-roll 3 per day, and so this is a bit different than like Diablo 3 bounties in the sense that Diablo 3 bounties are infinite. You could just make as many as you want, right? So these are limited. You can only do 12 a day, and bounties are the only place in the entire game, except for one other minor thing that we'll get into a little later, where you can get Scoria. And Scoria is a crafting material to enhance the Reliquary. And the Reliquary can make your character more powerful, right? So this is just one little aspect, one little offshoot of your character. The only way to make your character more powerful through this aspect is to do the bounties. So they're limited and they feel good because they're highly rewarding for just this one thing, but they also give you a little of everything else, right? They give you a little platinum, a little honor, a couple of charms here and there. They're actually amazing XP, and you just have this very limited amount of them that you can do per day. In the alpha, you can do 12. I think it's going to stay 12. I don't think they're going to change that for the beta. Another example, right? So there are these little hidden dungeons that are hidden around the world. You might not even encounter one for many hours of gameplay without knowing exactly what to look for, right? They're called hidden Lairs. And hidden Lairs are the only farmable source of normal gems in the entire game, right? Except for the marketplace. So you can spend your platinum on the marketplace to buy normal gems. But more than likely, you're going to want to farm them, right? And actually, my slide here is incorrect. You can do, these are actually infinite. You can do more than 12 per day. That's just an error on my slide here. So yeah, these are cool. These are farmable. You can do an infinite number of these. But this is the only way to upgrade your gems, is to get more gems. So what's cool about this is, like, you have this variety of gameplay, and they kind of feed each other, right? So you can go pick up a bounty, and you can go do the bounty, and while you're out doing the bounty, you might come across a lair, and then you might run into that lair and decide, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to take a detour here. I'm going to do this lair so I can get a gem, because I'm also trying to progress my gems as well. So you have these multiple reward mechanisms, and it's really, really cool. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about all the different gameplay modes. I want to really buckle down and get down into each of the currencies, and let's go ahead and get into that. Okay, so first, main currency, biggest currency in the game. Not most important, but the biggest currency, most common currency is gold. And this is a farmable currency, right? You can get this when you're out in the world. It's not a pay-to-win currency. You can get gold anywhere, right? So you're going to be rewarded with gold from killing monsters, doing dungeons, doing bounties, and many, many other tasks, right? So where do you spend your gold? How do you spend your gold? Is it like Diablo 3, where gold is basically worthless? Is it like Diablo 2, where you just save it all up for gambling? So actually, the most important thing in Diablo Immortal is what's called blacksmith upgrades. So you can upgrade your equipment at the blacksmith. And at first, this is a bit tricky, right? So at first, these blacksmith upgrades are actually really, really cheap. And you're gonna think, oh, you know what? I have all the gold in the world. I have hundreds of thousands of gold. I can go to the Rarities and Antiquities vendor, which is the gambling vendor in Diablo Immortal, and I can just spend the rest of it, and I'm good. And you really should not do that, because blacksmith upgrades become very expensive very quickly. You're gonna start running out of gold once you start getting to like rank 10, rank 11, rank 12. So you want to make sure that you save that gold. You might not want to save all of it, right? Like, for example, you might want to found a clan. So you can have a clan in Diablo Immortal, so that you can have basically a common chat channel for up to 150 players, and that costs you 100,000 gold, which later on isn't a ton, but early on 100,000 gold is actually fairly expensive, right? So saving up your gold can help you a lot. So honor is another very, very important currency. And what's important about currency is that it's not about honor, is that it's not farmable, right? So unlike gold, you don't get honor just by like going and doing a task over and over and over and over and over again. This is mainly rewarded on a weekly basis by doing activities for the different factions in the game. So there are shadows, there are immortals, there's an adventurer faction. And the best way to get this is actually to be part of the Immortals, if you're lucky enough to be part of the Immortals. Now, you can actually get honor from multiple sources. You can get it from bounties. You can get it from battlegrounds. You can get it from finishing exploration events in the Codex or other things in the Codex. You can reach the server top 10 group challenge rift leaderboard. And you can also finish solo completion of every 10th challenge rift. Server first solo completion of every 10th challenge rift. So when the server first comes up, if you are the first person to clear challenge rift 10, then you get, I think it's 2,000 honor. Same thing with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, etc. You get just 2,000 honor. It could be 3,000. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But it's a huge chunk of honor. But those are highly competitive and very limited. So that's sort of the point that I want to convey here with honor, is that this is a limited currency. So you have to be very careful how you spend your currency. So fortunately, there is only one way to spend your honor, and that's at the honor merchant. Unfortunately, the honor merchant sells a lot of stuff. He sells so much stuff, and a ton of the stuff that he actually sells is fairly not worthwhile, fairly not worth your honor. So what you want to buy with honor is you want to buy legendary crests, you want to buy rare crests, and you might want to buy Reforge Stones or normal gems. But first top priority are those crests, because you can't get those crests from almost anywhere else in the entire game. So saving your honor for those crests, absolutely key. All right, let's talk about platinum. Now, platinum is a very, very important currency in Diablo Immortal. It's non-farmable, meaning that you can't just go out into the world and farm it up, right, and get as much as you want. And it's mainly used for either buying items from other players on the marketplace, or crafting a whole bunch of things from different vendors in the game. So it's really important to either save this up so you can craft the items that you want, or to just spend it all on the marketplace, right? It kind of depends. I guess this currency kind of depends on you as a player. Do you feel like you're going to be wheeling and dealing a lot on the marketplace with other players, or do you just want to save up as much as you can as sort of like a free-to-play player and craft the stuff that you get, right? So you can sell items on the marketplace to get this. You can get a little bit from bounties, and this is maybe the first place where sort of the like pay-to-win sort of elements of Diablo Immortal come up. You can buy platinum from the store, right? So we can get into like sort of what I think about that, but I think some of that is going to change in the beta, so it's a bit too early for me to give some opinion about some of the monetization stuff in Immortal. So where you want to spend this, the number one priority, you want to craft legendary gems at the Apprentice Jewel Crafter with your platinum. After that, you can buy legendary crests from the Crest Merchant. You can buy echo crystals for crafting normal gems from the Crystal Merchant. You can buy items from the marketplace, and you can extract a skill stone from a charm at the Charms Craftsman. And I have the Charms Craftsman on the bottom of the list here, specifically because in the alpha, charms were just extremely poor as a source of character power. That might be different in the beta. We'll have to see how the beta goes. Okay, next up we have Eternal Orbs. Now, Eternal Orbs is very easy. This is the monetization currency. You can only get Eternal Orbs, at least in the alpha, you could only get Eternal Orbs by buying them using real money in the store. And you can use Eternal Orbs then to buy platinum, to buy legendary crests, and to buy Reforge Stones. Those were really the only things that you could buy with Eternal Orbs, right? So real money comes in the game, you get Eternal Orbs buys you other things. So very, very simple. You don't really use Eternal Orbs to buy anything else. It's really just like get one thing so you can get the other. Now, this is the absolute most important crafting material in the entire game. In fact, I suspect that when the beta actually begins, that this is the thing that myself and Rax and Rob and Facefoot and Lexi and all of the other max roll content creators and hardcore blasters are really going to be farming for is the salvage materials, scrap material, enchanted dust, and glowing shards. So the first thing to know is that each of these crafting materials is reflective of the item that you salvage, right? So scrap materials, it comes from normal items and from magic items. Enchanted dust comes from your yellows, your rare items, and glowing shards only comes from legendary items, right? So if you need a glowing shard to upgrade your equipment at the blacksmith, then you have to salvage a legendary item in order to get that glowing shard. So those of you who are familiar with how Diablo 3 salvaging works, then you'll feel right at home here. It feels very similar. This is a farmable crafting material. You can just get this by playing the game. There's no limitations on it. And the best way to do this is just kill monsters. You can do that by doing dungeons. You can do that in the world. You can do that anywhere any monsters will just drop scrap material, enchanted dust, or glowing shards. But sometimes you're going to need more yellows, more enchanted dust than really anything else. And this is where the zone events, normal events, and cursed chests really come in. These are really, really important. So each zone in the game has an event that you can repeat over and over and over again. And by far, at least in the alpha, the most important zone event was the pizza carriage, also known as the haunted carriage. I don't even know what it's called. We always called it the pizza as a meme. But it's it's the carriage that you can do in Ashwold Cemetery. So what you do is you follow this carriage around all of Ashwold, and at the end there's this boss, this very easy mini boss that will spawn. You have to hit him once, and if you hit him once, then he will drop 6 yellow mats. 6. It's insane. It's actually nuts. And you can actually do the event on multiple difficulties if you are willing to play the meta a bit. We can get into that in another video. Not sure. That was meta during the alpha. Not sure if that's going to be meta during the beta. But you could actually go and you could do the carriage once. You could switch difficulties, and then you could do it again. And you could switch again. You could do it up to 3 times. And there are actually other zone events where, if you were very, very fast and very good, you could warp around, and about once every 30 minutes to an hour, you could get 50 yellow crafting materials or enchanted dust just by doing zone events once an hour. It was absolutely insane. Now, not to be forgotten are normal events and cursed chests. So you'll see a blue exclamation mark every once in a while above an NPC's head, and you will want to talk with them, because if you do that quest at the end, they'll give you 3 yellow mats. There's also purple bosses that you'll encounter in the world, and those are also normal events, right? If you kill that purple boss, they'll give you 3 yellow mats. Now, what's little technical detail, and again, this is for another video as to exactly how I know this information. Normal events spawn once every 4 minutes, and there's an internal cooldown for you personally, a personal 4-minute cooldown, where the events won't actually spawn in. So if you do a normal event and you know where they all spawn, you can go do something and then come back 4 minutes later, and you'll have another normal event up once your cooldown is available. And then finally, there's cursed chests. Cursed chests can give 4 to 6 yellow mats. It kind of depends on either how fast you kill the mobs. I think that's the thing. And they're quite good. So basically any time you need yellow mats to upgrade your equipment, you need to be going around and doing all of these zone events, these normal events, and cursed chests. They're just very, very valuable. And then finally, you can also get some of these materials from Bounties, completing Shadows and Immortals events, and a whole bunch of other insignificant sources. And of course, finally, you spend all of these on blacksmith upgrades, as I've already mentioned. And blacksmith upgrades is the most significant source of power in Diablo Immortal. You're going to be spending a significant chunk of your time, especially after you hit max level, grinding out as many of these crafting materials as possible so you can get those blacksmith upgrades, because they're really, really, really good. Those blacksmith upgrades, by the way, they max out at rank 20. So, even if you're just farming this as hard as you can, it's probably going to take you a month to get everything up to rank 20. It's absolutely nuts how much farming you have to do to get things up to rank 20. So there's definitely a long tail of going and grinding these materials. So, if you're a hardcore blaster, then of course you're going to spend a lot of your time farming these materials as much as possible. But you don't have to. I think that's the cool thing about Immortal, is that if you want to play the game more casually, you want to play the game differently, then you can kind of just get these materials as you play different a different way of playing the game, and you can upgrade your stuff more casually, and that's okay too. And I think that's pretty cool. That's something that's pretty cool about Immortal. Okay, let's move on. That's a really important one, so I wanted to spend some time on it. So we got legendary crests and rare crests. This is another important one, but the difference here is that this is a non-farm. These are non-farmable, right? There's a very limited source of legendary crests and rare crests, especially if you're a free-to-play player, right? So the best way to get these is to buy them from the honor merchant, right? So I was talking about earlier how you want to save your honor up. You don't want to spend all your honor in one place. You want to save it up so you can buy crests from the honor merchant. This is the best way to spend your honor and the best way to get these crests. Now you can also buy a limited amount from the crest merchant. The crest merchant has a very limited amount every day available. It has 100 per server per day, and then you can buy 1 per character, right? So you could let's say you're absolutely crazy and you have 3 characters, which is insane in Diablo Immortal. Then you could spend I think it's 3,000 platinum in the alpha. You could spend 3,000 platinum to buy 1 legendary crest from the crest merchant, right? So these are very limited is kind of my point here. Now, at the end of each month, if you reached the top 10 on the group challenge drift leaderboard, you could get just an enormous number of legendary crests. And the way that we worked it out when we played the alpha is that we were the top one. We had the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots on 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player. So at the end of the month, we just got a whole cache of legendary and rare crests. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20 to 25 legendary crests. So that's an insane number of legendary crests, right? That's an absolute huge number of legendary crests. Now, of course, in the store, in the alpha, you could buy legendary crests. I don't know if that's still true in the beta. We'll see. We'll find out very quickly. But if you wanted to, you could buy these and you could run them to upgrade to get yourself some extra legendary gems. Now, I actually don't think that's such a bad thing, right? So I think a lot of folks in the comments might say, "Oh, this is pay to win," and it is. But at least in the alpha, and again, this could change. At least in the alpha, legendary gems were not that important for player power, right? So like someone who is a free-to-play player would eventually catch up to someone who is buying legendary crests and other stuff in the store. So at least for me, I'm going to be a free-to-play, like 100% free-to-play player. We'll see kind of how that works out. Now, where you spend legendary crests and rare crests is in Elder Rifts. So essentially, in Westmarch, there's this big obelisk, kind of like looks like a Greater Rift obelisk, right? They're called Elder Rifts in this game, and you slot in up to 3 crests at a time. You run the Elder Rift. It takes maybe like 2 minutes to run an Elder Rift. They're very, very fast. And then at the end, you get some rewards based on those legendary crests and rare crests. So legendary crests give you runes, and they give you a guaranteed legendary gem at the end of the rift. So rare crests give you runes, and they give you, I think, a 1 in 10% drop chance of a legendary gem. So we don't quite know all of the details about like the drop chances and all that kind of stuff, especially since they've probably tweaked it for the beta. A lot of things have probably changed for the beta, and this is one of those things that I'm expecting to change. So let's go on to Fading Ember. So Fading Ember is, you could think of the Fading Ember as the embers of the crests, right? So you go and you spend the crests, you slot them in, and every time you slot in a crest, I believe you get 5 Fading Ember. I could be remembering this incorrectly, but basically you spend crests to enhance your Elder Rifts, and you get 5 Fading Ember for every crest that you spend. And then you can spend Fading Ember at the Fading Ember Trader to get extra runes and legendary gems. Now, what's really cool about Fading Ember is that you get 5 Fading Ember for anyone in your party that slots in a crest, right? So, in other words, the best, most optimal way to spend your crests is to actually have a full party of 4 people and then run what's called crest for crest runs, right? Where everyone slots in 3 crests at the same time, right? So you have 4 times 3, you have 12 crests going at the same time. And then everybody benefits from everybody else's Fading Ember that you get as a result of running the Elder Rift. So that's pretty cool. So you get sort of like this small, very small sharing benefit for spending your crests with other players. It's pretty cool. In particular for sharing it with like people that you know, because as we said, legendary crests and rare crests are pretty rare. Right? You're gonna want to save these up and spend them all at once with the group that you're playing with. Now in the alpha, the cost of the runes and the legendary gems at the Fading Ember Trader was really, really high. I kind of expect those costs to come down just a bit so that some of those runes and legendary gems are affordable. Because there was a limit on how many Fading Ember you could have anyway. So I kind of expect those costs to come down. Now, of course, we've been talking about legendary gems this whole time, but legendary gems themselves are kind of a crafting material, right? They're an item, right? And they're used to enhance your equipment. But when you go to upgrade a legendary gem, you can use other legendary gems to upgrade your legendary gem, right? So how this works, right, is you get legendary gems by doing the Elder Rifts, and you collect a whole bunch of them, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of legendary gems that you really don't care about. They're just absolute garbage tier legendary gems. You never want to use them. And so there's really 2 things you can do with them at that point. You can either sell them on the marketplace and hope that other people will buy them and maybe they'll give you some platinum. But I think more interesting is that you can use them as what's called gem fragments, right? So when you upgrade a legendary gem past rank 2, it's going to require a copy of the same legendary gem, and then it's also going to require this pool of other legendary gems called gem fragments. So let me give you a specific example. Like, let's say we're trying to upgrade Fervent Fang. So Fervent Fang is a very good 3-star legendary gem, and so when you want to get Fervent Fang to rank 2, all you need is another Fervent Fang, and you take another Fervent Fang, and you burn this Fervent Fang to rank up this Fervent Fang, right? Great. Now you have a rank 2 Fervent Fang. Now the next thing you need to do is get a rank 3 Fervent Fang, right? So in order to get a rank 3 Fervent Fang, we need another Fervent Fang legendary gem. And then we need a bunch of random legendary gems. It can be anything. It can even be legendary gems that you've ranked up previously as gem fragments. And you need a certain amount of gem fragments, right? And then you use that and you spend that and you burn that to rank up the Fervent Fang again. So because this mechanic exists where you use other legendary gems to enhance other legendary gems, it's actually a pretty elegant system, right? It means that you never have to be too worried about like ranking up the wrong gem, right? So when you start out, right, you get a couple legendary crests. Let's say you get some really bad legendary gems, you get unlucky, and you're like, you know what? This is what I got. I gotta rank these up. So you rank them up, and you rank them up for a while, and then eventually you just get the GG gem. You get the 5-star Phoenix Ashes, right? And you're like, you know what? I want to rank this up now. So all of those previous legendary gems that you ranked up can be used as gem fragments, and they're more valuable because you've ranked them up, right? In fact, they should have, if I still need to sit down and do the math on this, but they should have the same value as if you had never ranked them up and you just had collected them all individually, right? So I think that's pretty cool that you can't make mistakes when you're ranking up, like choosing which legendary gems to rank up, right? Because that could be something that's pretty confusing. And so there's that risk of you making a mistake is very, very, very small, I think, with legendary gems. Now, you can also craft more legendary gems with runes. So runes aren't like runes in Diablo 2, right? Like you don't have like a item that's socketed and you make a rune word. That's not how runes work in Diablo Immortal. Runes are a crafting material in Immortal, and they're a crafting material that allow you to make legendary gems, right? And you also get runes from Elder Rifts. So at the end of an Elder Rift, you could get a legendary gem that you really want, but maybe you don't get that. Maybe instead you get just like a GG rune that allows you to craft, like to directly craft the legendary gem that you want, right? So what's kind of cool about this system is that you don't just have to randomly slot in crests constantly to get the legendary gem that you're looking for. There's kind of multiple paths to get to the desired end state that you're hoping for. And you could either get lucky by getting a really good rune or a set of runes, right? Or you could get really lucky by just getting the legendary gem directly. And of course, because legendary gems require other copies of the same legendary gem to rank them up, this ends up being really cool, like a really cool way of leveling your legendary gems, because now you're going to need multiple copies of this same legendary gem to rank it up again and again and again and make it more powerful and so on as you go forth. You can also sell runes at the marketplace, and you can buy them from the marketplace. So if you're like one rune away from that GG legendary gem that you need, then and you have a little bit of extra platinum, then maybe you can go to the marketplace, buy one, and go ahead and craft what you need. Kind of depends on, you know, what your goals are as a player and kind of, you know, how you want to finish certain goals with legendary gems. Okay, so it's been a while since we talked about Scoria, right? We talked about Scoria at the beginning of the video. But again, bounties are really the only way, the main way to get Scoria in the game. So again, Scoria is all about upgrading the Reliquary. And so you're just getting regular Scoria when you complete a bounty. Now, in the alpha, you could also get extra Scoria if you were an adventurer. If you were not a shadow or an immortal, you were an adventurer, and you can get extra Scoria by completing bounties just every day, right? Now, Scoria can be refined into other kinds of Scoria, right? So in the alpha, there was actually only one kind of Scoria. There was Hellfire Scoria. But you have to go to the blacksmith, and you have to talk to the blacksmith, and you have to turn your Scoria into Hellfire Scoria, which allows you to unlock the bosses in the Reliquary. So because you have to refine there's this like refinement process, we're predicting that there's going to be multiple kinds of Scoria over time, right? There's going to be multiple different kinds of bosses, and so you're gonna upgrade into Hellfire Scoria. You're gonna upgrade it into, I don't know, like Dragon Scoria, like I don't know, like whatever they want to call it. You can change Scoria into different kinds of Scoria to upgrade the Reliquary, and different ways to allow you to do the different bosses. So that's a bit of a prediction, and I'm not sure that's going to be true, but we'll see. We'll kind of see where the beta ends us up at. Okay, we got some more to do. Let's keep going. Reforge Stones. So Reforge Stones are a crafting material that allows you to re-roll the random bonus that your equipment receives when you're upgrading at the blacksmith at certain milestone levels. So when you get to rank 6, rank 11, and rank 15? Wait, 16. Yeah. 6, 11, 16. There is like an extra bonus that each of your equipment, pieces of equipment get. And so in total, you'll have 3 bonuses per piece of equipment, or main pieces of equipment. So that's 6 times 3. So you have 18 total bonuses, right? And the first time you get that bonus, it will roll randomly a family and the actual bonus itself, right? So there's like a range on the bonus. So like, for example, you could roll 11 strength, or you could roll 20 strength. And they could be from different families. And if you have all 3 bonuses of the same family, you get an extra bonus on top of that, right? So Reforge Stones is really important because, especially late game, once you start getting your blacksmith upgrades to like rank 16, you really want to start revisiting those bonuses, because now you're starting to sort of min-max your character at this point, right? And you might want to go and say, oh, you know what? I've got 11 like willpower on my helm. That's really bad. Let's try to roll strength on that, or roll intelligence, depending on your character, right? So you take a Reforge Stone and you re-roll it. Now there's multiple kinds of Reforge Stones. There's Reforge Stones that can re-roll just any sort of random family. And so these are completely random, and you can buy these from the Honor Merchant. Now, you can also buy family-specific ones from the store. So if you want a very specific family to re-roll on a piece of equipment, then you can buy the family-specific ones. And at least in the alpha, the only other source in the entire game where you could get family-specific ones was from the Battle Pass. So you had to complete the Battle Pass, and then if you want a different family, you'd have to wait for the next refresh of the Battle Pass and hope that you got that family from the Battle Pass. Of course, like a lot of the really important upgrades in this game, you do this at the blacksmith, right? So the blacksmith has like all the most important upgrades in the game. Again, this is more of a min-maxy thing. You're probably not going to do this at first. You're going to wait on this for a while. But eventually you might want to reforge some of these extra bonuses that you get. Now, getting to sort of like super end game min-maxy stuff is Alchemical Powder and Charms. Now, in the alpha, Charms were just basically, they were just there. They didn't really do much at all. They give you very, very, very little character power. They give you so little character power that we basically just ignored them entirely. So I am expecting that Charms and Alchemical Powder and maybe this entire system, when the beta actually launches, to be completely different, right? So we'll see on this one, but let's try to inform you guys of how it was in alpha, so you know exactly what to expect here, right? So the first thing you can do is you can just buy Charms at the Honor Merchant directly, and these are completely random. They'll give you a certain bonus to a particular skill, right? There's a Charms slot on your character paper doll that you can slot one of these Charms into. You can sometimes get Charms by completing Bounties, which is really cool. You'll just get a random Charm, and sometimes they're in the Battle Pass as well. Now, you can do a lot of things with Charms. So the first thing you can do is you can just keep the Charm, right? So Charms start at level 1, and there's 5 other skills that a Charm can roll, right? So once, let's say you get a Charm that you don't want. What you can do is you can actually salvage the Charm. And when you salvage that Charm, you're going to get 10 Alchemical Powder. And once you have enough Alchemical Powder, you can actually you can level up another Charm, and you can roll another skill on it. Now, these skills are completely random, right? It can roll any skill from any class. So let's say you're a barbarian. That first skill you get, let's say it's a barbarian skill. So you want to use the charm, right? You got a barbarian skill for the first one. So you roll the second one, you get a wizard skill. You roll the third one, you get a monk skill. You roll the fourth one, you get a crusader skill. You roll the fifth one, you get a barbarian skill. So now you have this charm, and it's a complete charm, but it's completely, you're only getting 2 skills, and actually, because of how many classes there are in the game, that's actually pretty good. So getting 2 skills on a charm just off the upgrade process is actually not that bad. But what you can do next is you can spend platinum to extract a skill stone from the charm that you have, and the skill stone will essentially take the charm and turn it into this crafting material that you can try to inject on another fully upgraded charm. And essentially what it'll do is it will randomly pick which skill to extract, and then it'll also randomly pick which skill it's going to replace on the charm. So there's a lot of randomness to the charms, and so I think the design idea here is that this is supposed to be like a super endgame min-maxy kind of thing that you do. There's a lot of like re-rolling and kind of like kind of random mechanics here. But it just, at least in the alpha, it just was not a complete system because the bonuses, the benefits, were just basically non-existent. So hopefully in the beta, we see this change a little bit, and this becomes worth your time. It just wasn't worth your time in the alpha. We'll keep a close eye on this one. All right, we're almost there, everyone. We're almost there. Just 2 more. So we have Essentia, and then after this we have Raw Essentia. So these Essentia and Raw Essentia are very close together. They do basically the same thing. So this is an Immortals only currency. And that's why I sort of left this towards the end. Is you don't care about this currency unless you are an Immortal. Now, Essentia is this shared currency that all the Immortals have. And what you do is you use it to buy keys for Kion's Ordeal. So Kion's Ordeal is the raid that all the Immortals can do. So you can gain Essentia through a couple of different tasks, but mainly you get the Immortals to do their daily quests, and they automatically will earn Essentia. But then they also earn Raw Essentia, which you can contribute back to the Immortals, right? So this is a bit confusing because they both have the same name, kind of, but they are very different things, right? So let me repeat what I just said. So as an Immortal, you go and you do one of the dailies for the Immortals, right? And the rewards you get at the end, let's say you get 10 Essentia, right? You actually don't get that Essentia. The Immortals get 10 Essentia. What you get is you get 1 Raw Essentia. And that Raw Essentia is something that you can contribute to the Immortals, and then that Raw Essentia gets basically automatically refined into a certain amount of extra Essentia for the Immortals to spend. And the whole point of this is once the Immortals reach a certain amount of Essentia, they can unlock Kion's Ordeal with a certain Essentia cost, and they can go do the raid and get a whole bunch of loot, and it's actually really fun. The other thing to know is that the Shadows can steal Essentia from the Immortals' vault. So you can get a key to like sneak into the vault as the Shadows, and you can kill a bunch of mobs, and you can actually steal the Essentia from the Immortals. And effectively, you're doing 2 things. One, you're earning a bunch of gold and honor for yourself, but also you're preventing the Immortals from progressing further because you're stealing this valuable resource from them. And again, we have Raw Essentia here as well. One thing to note about Raw Essentia is that I believe it's when you get to Bronze 3. So once the Immortals rank up the Eternal Crown to Bronze 3, then you can actually buy raw Essentia from the honor merchant. So you can spend your honor to increase your contribution to the immortals as well, which is something that you'll probably want to do. It's a very valuable thing for you to progress your prestige as fast as possible as an immortal. So as you can see, progression in Diablo Immortal is deeply tied to the game's different crafting materials and currencies. Are you going to be ready for Diablo Immortal Beta? Let me know in the comments. And as this video goes live and when the beta goes live, I'll be live streaming the game over on my Twitch channel. Check that out in the description below. See you next time. Peace.